Hey everyone, thanks for coming back. Thanks for sticking around for hopefully what was part two. Unfortunately, a lot of these chapters are running pretty long and I can only load a 15-minute video to YouTube, so we're gonna have to start breaking some of these up. I hope it doesn't hurt my wardrobe as I'm already going through almost all my shirts just in these initial readings. But that's something for me to deal with, not you. So here we go. Even with bats vying for attention throughout the night, we all slept soundly and awake on time for our 6 a.m. breakfast. For me, this would be the first of many mornings rising to the indigo beeping of the illuminator. The day's uniform of my mustard-colored Dickies, a long-sleeve button-up, baseball cap, and trail running shoes is assembled. Since there had been no precipitation during the night, Chris assures both Derek and me that shoes and not boots will work fine today. We all look a bit of a mess even fully dressed, especially Derek with his dark goatee swayed to the left after the night's sleep. Chris's hair keeps a bit more of a curl than mine, but this morning both of our manes lay flat and parted before being covered by hats that we could care less about, hence their selection for work, where they will surely end the day sopping with sweat. The walk for breakfast takes us between raised, wooden houses that are the norm in RMI. To see the town in the daylight is to know just how small it is. Only 2 years ago did the first villager build a house with concrete, and only one more has risen since. There's dew enough on the grass to dampen our shoes, but not enough for a complete soaking, an event that would surely start the day off on an annoying foot. The sun is crusting the tree line a half-mile away, merging an orange hue into the thick air. We arrive at Mama No. 2's house, tow off our shoes with courtesy, and ascend the log ladder under the main living room area. The open-air house is no more than 300 square feet, but still has amenities like a gas stovetop and television. Bordering is a fence of 2 branches, topping out at 2 feet in order to keep Mama No. 2's youngest, Damien, named after one of my brother's business partners, from taking a spill over the 5-foot edge. The roof is of thatch. Our breakfast is almost ready, and we're told to find a seat. Chris takes the open hammock while Derek and I hope the firmness of the boards can rearrange our spine movements from the night's sleep in sinkhole mattresses. Before the meals arrive, we're given a cup of something warm and brown that looks a bit tinny. Chris enlightens. It's coffee, plenty of sugar. Drink it. It's something. I'll go ahead and give it the label of coffee type drink, but will not go as far to call this coffee alone. I would be a disgrace to Seattle. The liquid has only the most rudimentary flavors of coffee, and then is quickly overrun by the copious amounts of raw sugar waiting at the bottom. But what's coffee's job? To wake you up, right? The substance does this, the proof being in our sharpened pupils and lifted eyebrows every sugary sip. Mama No. 2, Alicia, a round woman with matching face, kindly hands me my breakfast plate with a broad smile that holds no insecurity. Included are 6 pieces of yuca, the local starch crop, and scrambled eggs. The yuca is a bit dry, the eggs salty, in turn requiring another cup of coffee to help me wash it all down. I feel the need to brush my teeth. Each of us hands Mama No. 2 a couple of bucks on the way down the ladder, and we're on our way to the plantation. The sun now fully risen at 7. Also on the rise is the temperature. We walk through RMI and turn left at the end of the road, heading west on the Pan American Highway. The town's bus stops, benches, and roofs made of concrete. Each host a couple locals heading either direction for most likely grocery shopping. They acknowledge my brother with warm welcomes, but don't quite know what to think of Derek and me. Chris carries a machete and 3 pruning tools in a sack while Derek and I hoof the day's water supply, 2 gallons purchased last night after dinner. Shortly after turning away from the town, we come to a yellow and white bridge elevating us over a stream. Come rainy season, I'm sure it's a raging monster, but right now the water resembles a limp, dying animal baking in the heat. Unfortunately, by the end of the day, the same could be said of me, but that's 7 hours away at this point. The 30-minute walk to the entrance of the plantation allows one to take a closer look at the Pan American Highway, more specifically the monster potholes that require such erratic driving from its adventurers. One of note takes up the whole right lane at a depth that will hide a man's leg up to the middle of his shin. Potholes such as this are the sole reason why traffic on the Pan American Highway slows to next to nothing at night. Foliage rising to 40 feet does its best to shade the road, but the sun knows it's only here to punish, consistently finding cracks to initiate my sweat glands. There's something else going on with my body, however, and I feel the need to see if Derek is experiencing this as well. The yuca's in my stomach, and I've never felt anything, any type of food, that has given me this much potential energy. I can feel it just sitting, waiting to work for me. It's crazy. I just want to start running. If I like to run. I know, I feel it too, Derek replies. Sure, it's not the coffee, my brother asks ahead of us. Derek and I look at each other like kids with a doubting parent, content to let the breakfast play out. Little ch6, the smallest form of bus in Panama, blur past us only to frantically brake before avoiding another pothole. The drivers are well versed in the stretch of road between here and the beef checkpoint, and rarely do they take a hole on squarely, like a boxer sliding away from punches. What discipline they might have when it comes to potholes, though, gets let out the side door when it comes to sharing the road, as the general rule from my observation says that, if you pass me, and how dare you pass me, it is my duty to pass you as soon as the next opportunity arrives. We're here, Chris says, and when Chris says we're here, he really means a brief gap in the brush, with a roller coaster trail into a dense forest, ripe with ankle-rolling opportunities. Derek and I follow our leader. Hoofprints from horses have been petrified since the end of the wet season, and I'm suspicious of my brother when he confidently proclaims that vehicles can enter this road. Road isn't the right word for what we're walking on. I would go more with dimpled mud terrain. Each foot placement has to be watched, every successful step and exhaled breath before focusing on the next. Having done this countless times before, Chris is floating over the jagged earth, moving at a much quicker pace than Derek and myself. Finally, we reach a point where I don't have to observe every step to assure the ongoing health of my ankles. And when I look up, studying the surroundings, Chris informs us of our location. Ah, the start of the plantation, he says. 3-year-old teak on your right. Notice how much taller these are than the ones along the highway? I do notice. Chris is right. He finally stops moving, staring up at his trees with hands on his hips. A lot has happened in these 3 years. Planning empowerment, 4 Peace Corps volunteers' idea turned grad school project turned this thing is actually working, began when the Darien-based volunteers had to watch landowners in their communities slash and burn forested areas to start a new crop for economic sustenance. As their time in Panama was coming to an end, my brother's 3rd year, each of them noticed a hopeful trend being practiced by some of the community's more progressive landowners, the renting of their land for short-term agricultural specific use. These landowners were seeing better returns on their land handled with care. Thinking long-term, the 4 volunteers believed this lease model could be also applied to forestry. Each founder breached the subject with locals in his community, and positive responses were echoed from Nueve Paraiso to Arimay, setting in motion what has now become a multi-award-winning business model that actually has results on, more so, in the ground. After signing 25-year leases with landowners in both communities, assuring participants a steady income, shares of profits, and funds to establish scholarships, each PE founder went to working raising capital from friends and family. The initial goal of $60K was met, and not soon after, saplings were being planted by white and brown hands alike, with men and women working side by side, in some cases for the first time ever. Currently, PE has over 50 acres of commercially viable forests made up of 30% teak and 70% native species such as mahogany, Spanish cedar, and cocobolo, which are indigenous to Panama. By keeping this biodiversity, PE's trees are growing healthier and faster, unlike other plantations that focus on only one species like teak. Also, by allowing vegetative growth of forests in between their rows of trees, PE's fields promote the continuation of a natural, environmental cycle in which the area's wildlife continues to thrive instead of being displaced. Have I sold you yet? We hang a left with Chris clearing a passable route with his machete. The forest is dense, filled with standard vegetative growth and spiderwebs. Derek and I weave behind, hoping not to catch a machete to the head. Most of my attention goes to the spiders that seem to have built specialty webs just for me. It's like a fun surprise, only if fun surprises were like being thrown up on a child every 10 minutes. I definitely don't help my defense of said webs by wearing a bowed cap that limits my vision, but somehow this isn't my fault. The 3 of us perspire, engulfed under the forest canopy. Our hats start to show wetness stains on their brims. The tiny notebook in my back pocket is moist with sweat. It's hot, it's humid, it's Panama. Chris's chopping halts prompted me to look up from the ducking posture I had taken traversing the underbrush and gaze upon 5 acres of road saplings. The tallest trees are no higher than 50 feet and strategically located to provide shade for the saplings. This is where we'll be working today. Follow me, my brother says. Being the dry season, creek beds are dried and solid footing easy to find. Our path takes us down, up, down, and finally a very long up. At the crest of the hill there is an established trail that splits the field we just ascended from another that requires cleaning. When I say cleaning, I mean that the saplings need to have the brush cleared from around them, allowing further growth to be unmolested. This work is done by a man and his machete. A workforce of Panamanians are already taking on the task, spreading 5 wide, 1 man to each row. Derek and I look at each other, smiling, until Chris bursts our happy bubbles. Don't even think about it. You two are pruning today. And with that, we're handed our tiny pruning tools, freshly oiled. John, you start down the path that we just walked up. Derek, you start on the row to the right of him. In defeated unison, we reply, all right. Before leaving us to perform untrained surgery on trees, Chris thinks better of it and takes us on a tutorial of proper pruning techniques. Instructions are as follows. Number 1, do not, under any circumstances, be a dumbass and cut down the tree. Number 2, properly identify the tree before pruning as each species requires different care. Number 3, clear all debris, i.e. moss, vines, and spiderwebs, from the tree before pruning. Number 4, if there are 2 competing branches of significant size, cut the branch that is growing more abnormally. And with that, Derek and I are on our ways. Look at each other, smiling, until Chris bursts our happy bubbles.